Chapter 1. Bai Jing opened his eyes suddenly, turned over and stood up. His slender fingers clenched the energy gun around his waist, and his beautiful brown eyes instantly became sharp, and he looked around alertly. He found himself in an abandoned area with low, shabby houses lined with dilapidated houses, and a large garbage dump with an odor not far away. Not aware of the danger, Bai Jing's heart relaxed slightly, raised his hand and touched his neck. There was no blood on his hand, and he didn't feel any pain. Huh? He was obviously bitten by a 5th-level zombie, and now he seems to still be able to feel the stench coming from his face, as well as the pain of being pierced through his neck by sharp teeth. Bai Jing closed his eyes, looked around again, and found that this place was not an environment he was familiar with. Although it was simple and dilapidated like a slum, there was no overwhelming zombies and a strong smell of blood. What's going on? A familiar feeling of hunger came from his stomach at the right time. Bai Jing quickly took out the only compressed biscuit in his pocket and tore the packaging bag with force. No matter where this place the priority is to find food and water as soon as possible, and nothing is more important than staying alive. The windbreaker on his body has been stained with zombie-smelling liquid, and Bai Jing took off the windbreaker at will, revealing the faded light blue shirt inside. His straight legs were wrapped in black trousers, and he was wearing a pair of hiking shoes. He had a slender figure in perfect proportions. If it weren't for his sharp eyes and quick movements, he looked like a high school student. His face is very delicate, and the long brown-black broken hair hides the pair of bright brown eyes. But if you look closely, you can still see the straight bridge of the nose and the graceful outline below. It is a pity that the pointed jaw and thin and yellowed face have greatly reduced this beauty. In the last days, materials were scarce, and most people who have been malnourished for a long time are like this. Bai Jing quickly inspected the place for a week. There was obviously no food in this place, and even the smelly garbage dump was turned upside down. When he looked at the local residents who were turning over the garbage, those people looked at him vigilantly, lest they be robbed of the spoils. Bai Jing lowered his eyes. His slender eyelashes fluttered like a butterfly's wings, and he was not familiar with the situation at first. About half an hour later, he saw a completely different scene from the slum, as if he had strayed into another world. Countless high-rise buildings rise from the ground, and huge holographic screens are embedded on the surface of the buildings, playing various new products that have never been seen before. The spiral-shaped tracks in the air are staggered and connected, and the exquisitely shaped suspension vehicles shuttle in the high air, as if they have entered outer space. Bai Jing's always indifferent eyes flashed a little shock, guessing that he may have come to a certain era in the future. There seems to be no zombies in this era, but he is still vigilant around him and does not dare to take it lightly. The clean and tidy road is very wide, with towering buildings standing on both sides, smooth and cold like a mirror. But there is not a trace of people on the road, not even supermarkets and convenience stores. Bai Jing raised his hand and touched his chapped lips. He needed to speed up. Finally, in front of a hemispherical luxury building about 3 stories high, he heard a long-lost voice. Bai Jing walked in without hesitation. This was the only place he could find someone after so long. The hall is full of people. The floor is bright. The dome is gorgeous like a European palace. The lights are dazzling. The circular seats from low to high are full of people. And there are many people in the front hall, standing all black. In the center of the hall are 2 incomparably huge holographic screens, which are presented in front of everyone in 360 degrees without blind spots. Each screen shows one person and several booths with stones, which seem to be competing. Bai Jing glanced at it, and then withdrew his gaze, the hunger in his stomach again, bringing with it the slightest colic. His face paled slightly. He walked quickly to the edge of the crowd and patted a man on the shoulder. "Excuse me, you know where to sell food?" "I'm ill. The bet will end in 10 minutes. I have to pay close attention to which pieces of wool to bet and get out of the way." The man glared at him fiercely and hurriedly turned around to continue the discussion with his friend against time. "No, 3 is good. It should be green." "No, 3 is really good, but I think no. 8 is doing better, and I'm betting it goes up." "Well, I think 5 is more likely." Bai Jing's eyes were slightly cold. He lowered his head and used his peripheral vision to quickly glance around, and found that there were well-equipped guards everywhere in the hall, and the hand on the energy gun was slowly lowered. This place is not as chaotic as in the last days, and the strength of the guards is not weak. He absolutely cannot retreat. "Little brother, have you encountered any difficulties?" Just when he was about to ask a few more people, a middle-aged man with a Chinese-shaped face and a simple and honest appearance came towards him. His voice was gentle and very friendly. "Well, do you know where to sell food?" Bai Jing secretly evaluated the opponent's strength, confirmed that there was no harm, and allowed the opponent to walk in front of him. Ouch, it costs a lot of stars to buy natural food now, and it's all ordered by the brain. It's impossible without the brain. The middle-aged man smiled very warmly. "Introduction, my name is Joe Gu. You can call me Big Brother Joe." It's troublesome to see that the little brother doesn't wear a light brain on his hands. When he saw the young man's clothes and his wrists were empty, he knew that the other party was a kind of person who came from a slum and was unwilling to the status quo. Haha, this kind of person is the easiest to be tempted. Bai Jing raised his eyes. "Excuse me, how do I get the light brain?" Joe Ge was stunned by those beautiful brown eyes, and he was stunned for a moment before he said, "You can buy it at Gu's gambling stone shop here, but you need at least 3,000 star coins to buy light brains." Seeing the silence of the other party, Joe Ge's eyes flashed a gleam of light, and he sighed. "Oh, I also came from a slum, and I know that it is difficult for people like us to get out of the slum, and I also accidentally entered the gambling stone world. It only got better after that, haha, now it's a small asset. Seeing that we are so lucky, it is better for the little brother to try stone betting. The newbies generally have good luck. If you win, the stars will be yours. If you lose, I will pay for this little money. How about that?" "How to bet?" Bai Jing frowned slightly. His originally clear voice seemed dry due to a lack of water. Joe Guy laughed in his heart, and he really took the bait. "It's very simple. Did you see the two people on the high platform? They are both stone gamblers, and each of them will pick 5 pieces of wool to bet, a total of 10 pieces of wool, numbered 1 to 10. Which of these 10 pieces of wool do you think can produce jade? Just press the corresponding number. Each piece of wool has corresponding odds. If you are lucky enough to guess correctly, the principal will be tripled or quadrupled, or even a dozen times." Seeing that Bai Jing didn't answer, Joe Goog continued to tempt. "The principle of 1,000 star coins. If you win, you can get more than 10,000 star coins. Little brother, you can choose with confidence. It doesn't matter if you lose. I'm Giovi's words. I'll pack the star coins for this round." Joe Gu patted his chest and said sincerely, that honest face was particularly deceptive. Bai Jing probably understood that this kind of betting method was similar to betting a ball game, and the two people on the high platform were betting on stones. Before the apocalypse broke out, he heard about gambling stones when he traveled to Yunnan, but it was played by rich people, and 9 out of 10 bets were lost. He sneered in his heart. How could he be fooled by such a clumsy trick? But Bai Jing didn't leave immediately, because his ability was special, a perception ability, which could sense living creatures within 20 meters, including zombies. This ability is not an attack ability, and it may be tasteless in the eyes of others, but it has allowed him to escape countless attacks. If it hadn't been betrayed by his teammates, he would not have died at the hands of level 5 zombies. While Joe Guy was talking just now, Bai Jing tried to use his senses to sense the no one wool above. The reason why he could perceive zombies in the last days is because the zombies have crystal nuclei in their heads, which are a kind of active substance, and maybe jade is the same. Perception circled around no one wool and quickly penetrated into the interior. After the induction, Bai Jing frowned, and he didn't react at all. He sensed 2 more pieces in a row, both of which were the same dead energy. When detecting the 4th piece, I finally found that there is a small amount of active reaction in the lower part of the wool, which is not strong, equivalent to the activity of the crystal nucleus of the first-level zombie. How is it, little brother? The time is coming soon. Which one should you bet on? Joe Guy watched Bai Jing staring at a few pieces of wool on the stage and laughed secretly in his heart. Even the most powerful instruments can't detect it. What can you, a novice, see? Look at this guy. He looks really good. And when he gambles a few more times and can't pay back, he will sign a lifetime agreement with him, enjoy it on the bed, and then sell it to the casino as a coolie. It's so worth it. No 4. Bai Jing put his hands in his pockets and said lightly. He sensed all 10 pieces of wool just now, only no 4 had a weak reaction, so he could give it a try. If it fails, a cold light flashes in Bai Jing's eyes, and when he has to, he will hijack the opponent. Such a close distance is enough to start before the guards can react. Okay. Joe Guy suddenly felt a chill on the back of his neck for some reason, and couldn't help shivering. He took a deep breath, clicked on the light brain on his wrist, and operated a few times on the floating panel to let Bai Jing sign the electronic money. while he himself was on the best-performing no. 6 and no. 8 will each bet 10,000 stars. Joe Good didn't explain it on purpose just now, just to create an illusion for the other party, so he could only choose one of the numbers 1 to 10. But who said that only one of these 10 pieces can produce jade? 2, 3, or even 1 is not possible. How can it be so easy to bet on the stone? You can only win if you go all in. The countdown is 1 minute. Customers who haven't made a bet, please do it as soon as possible. The host's sweet voice sounded, and many undecided guests pressed their teeth and pressed the numbers on their brains, praying for God's favor. Countdown, 10, 9, 8, 2, 1. It's time to bet. As the countdown of the numbers on the big screen ended, everyone closed their hands and waited for the odds to be revealed in 2 minutes. After they were free, several people standing beside found Joe Guy and Bai Jing standing next to him, and couldn't help but pouted. Look, Joe Guy is lying to the newcomer again. He is obviously a profiteer, but he has a loyal and honest look. Yeah, this guy is really disgusting. He has been tempting newcomers to bet, and when the other party can't afford it, he will squeeze them to do coolies. Some people will never come out. Well, I guess this guy is also in the trap. It's a pity to look young. At the same time, in the most luxurious VIP box on the second floor, a tall man dressed in a tall and straight black military uniform with an 8th-level golden military badge on his shoulders was sitting lazily on the leather sofa watching the screen. His long legs in black military boots were slightly spread out, and he accidentally stretched under the tea table. He unbuttoned 3 buttons of his neat and rigorous military uniform, revealing a large chest and looming chest muscles. Temptation dries up the mouth. His facial features are very handsome, with sharp lines, sharp eyebrows, cold eyes in his starry eyes, a high-nosed bridge, and thin lips slightly pursed. Although he just sits there casually, no one can ignore his existence. A look at it is terrifying. Young Master Gu Joe Guy is too arrogant. You need to let your subordinates deal with it. No hurry. Gu Yuanzhao glanced at Bai Jing on the screen and sneered softly. Young man, if you want to dream, you have to pay a price, so let's take it as a small lesson for him.